Hello, everyone. It is me, the Cyborg, joined by him, the Temp, and we're doing Injustice comic book series, and we are on year 2, actually the annual issue today, and we're going to be doing that. That takes place, I guess, between issue number 7 and issue number 8. So each year, if you're not familiar with comics, has an annual issue, and we're going to be covering that. So it's like a once-a-year issue, kind of takes a little side note from the current story to develop maybe some other story going on the side. At least that's how I've seen it in other comic events, and this one is no exception. And we did the year 1 issue prior to this as well. So definitely go check out all the issues that we've done before this, but we'll be tackling year 2 annual issue in this current episode today. So with that said, like, subscribe, do all those fun things. All those fun things. All those fun things. And alright, now that you've done that, because you're cool and we like you and you love us.
Oh, they love us.
No. Okay. So anyways, we get to this issue and it's definitely an interesting issue. More so the first chapter compared to the second one, but they were both pretty decent and further developed some story on the back end, a little bit of side stuff going on. We have Gordon and Oracle. Well, first of all, Oracle and the Birds of Prey and all of them are watching like a little slideshow, and Oracle's giving a little speech about like kind of, like when you're doing like family trips, she's kind of showing a little slideshow of her mom and stuff like that. And it leads into actually Oracle is on her computer, and all of a sudden they have surveillance stuff around the city, and all of a sudden she sees what looks to be their mother on the screen walking the streets after curfew. And Gordon realizes this as well. He takes one of the pills, even though Barbara says not to because it's speeding up his cancer. Well, anyways, he walks the streets trying to find her. He locates her on the spot that she noticed on the computer, and he starts following her. He hugs her, and he says, I thought you've been dead. You died 15 years ago, but we never found a body. We stopped looking for you. We tried to find you, and it was Martian Manhunter all along. I'm just kidding.
Again.
Yes. No, it's actually the person that we thought of last time, and that is Clayface, which was pretty cool. Nice little reveal there. Big proponent of Clayface being in Injustice, so this is kind of a cool little fun little teaser. So this is probably all we'll get from Clayface, but it's nice to have him in here.
Even though he's well drawn and it was very well done and well executed, the art was still misleading. So I saw the art and I was like, oh no, it was Swamp Thing. Why? And they're like, oh no, that's Clayface. Just looking a whole lot like Swamp Thing. My bad. So it was cool. I liked it. It was good stuff. That did not minimize the experience.
Sure. And then Clayface explains that he was just hiding as his wife. The reason why he was taking the shape of his wife is because they're, the soldiers are out to kill him. Superman is out to kill him. They don't let criminals live like him. So he's just trying to hide and stay alive. And he had once met Gordon's wife, and prior to this, and he says he was there for when she was killed. She was killed in the line of duty or on duty, however you say that phrase, late and stuff. And he says he took no part in it, but he saw it happen because he was just a kid at the time. But he did see it happen, and he saw where she was buried. So he actually knows where the body is. It's buried under a pier. Up here. And Gordon buys into this because he's like, okay, show me where the body is. We see Clayface take him to it. Clearly it's her body in there. We don't see it, but Gordon seems satisfied. So we see that, and they bring Clayface in. Clayface is actually being invited to be a part of the Birds of Prey and the rest of the crew. He's going to kind of earn his keep, so to speak. But in a very, this rushes really quickly, which is a little odd, but I still liked it. And it looks like they're going to, they're helping Clayface get better and whatnot. But it's just like, in like 2 or 3 panels, all of a sudden, for some reason now he's appearing as Nightwing, and he's goes up and goes by Oracle, and Oracle catches him as Nightwing, and she kind of has her own little freak out moment, and she's upset. Why would you, take his shape, and why would you look like him? How dare you do that? And then he tries to play it off like, oh, I was just, I read through the obituaries and I use shapes that aren't, I use people's appearances that are no longer alive. And she immediately calls him out on that and says, no, your motives seem off this entire time and your story doesn't add up. And he pretty much admits to it at that point. And he says Superman hired him to basically look like their dead friends. So their mother or Gordon's wife or in this case Nightwing. So he's just there purely to torment them so they'll never forget their appearances and just there to be a reminder of them being dead. So very, very cruel, and that was the whole reason he, was, it's just, wow. If Superman really did that, that's disturbing. That is really creepy.
Well, this whole issue seems kind of surreal. Like, it's nothing. At least by the end, this issue felt a little sort of kind of non-canon in parts. Like it felt very Lobo to me. It felt like an interlude to me.
Sure.
But it's just not a bad thing. But it did not feel coherent with the tone of the rest of the comics.
Yeah, that's kind of what annuals do. They kind of tell their own little story within the context. Like they're relating to what's going on in the same universe and the same storyline, but they're their own little side self-contained issue. That's the whole thing about what they are. You don't need to read them to catch all the information of the main series. It's just there for a little extra bit. But yeah, so I kind of ran the gamut of emotions here. I was like, oh, cool, Clayface. Oh, sweet, he's going to be part of Batman's team. This is exactly what I wanted because Clayface would be cool. Remember, that's what I said back when, we were thinking maybe that was the person impersonating Hawkgirl. Ended up being Martian Manhunter then, but here it's Clayface. And I was like, okay, sweet. He is actually going to work on their side and be kind of like, because I thought that would be another cool thing. Like, what could they do with Clayface to really take advantage of his power? And I like the idea of the villain reforming, but no, he was just being an asshole, and he was working for Superman, who's apparently like the cruelest mofo around. Like, that's just so disturbing. But yeah, and then they end up just separating him into a bunch of jars because Harley has a sense of humor, of course, and she says closure because that was a recurring theme throughout the issue.
Although, don't forget the part where Oracle rips off her wheelchair wheel and throws it at Clayface.
Yeah, that's true. That was a good one. That was like the final blow. But yeah, so it was cool. So then I was disappointed that he was just pure evil. I mean, it makes sense, but once again, he's just evil working for Superman, who's pure evil. So disappointing that it was all just a twist in the end, but it was a good twist, and I was happy to see him. So if this is all we get from Clayface in the Injustice world, I thought it was effective, and I thought it was very Clayface. It was cool that they did it like that. They didn't just introduce Clayface; they introduced him going undercover like that and kind of doing it in a surprising fashion, which was cool.
I do agree, though. I feel like it was a giant missed opportunity because Superman has changed the world, and if the world has changed, then the villains may have changed too.
Yeah.
So the villains were, yeah.
No, I'm agreeing. Yeah.
Well, all of Batman's rogue gallery are pretty much a product of society.
Sure.
And when you change society, you can maybe get a different Mr. Freeze, you can get a different Riddler. So when Clayface was like, aha, I'm evil, I'm like, oh, well, that. Even though I half expected it, I'm like, I was hoping against hope that they were going to do something interesting with Clayface. But now that I know it's an interlude, there really wasn't much. Because really, if Superman just put a tracking device in Clayface, like, pretty much all the birds of prey would be dead right now. So the whole story doesn't really add up anyway, but yeah.
Sure. Mentioning Mr. Freeze and how these villains could be affected, that's a fantastic point because we know where Ivy kind of stands in the Injustice world, not in these comics. I don't know if she shows up here, but we know Ivy, what she's going to do in Injustice 2, whereas Mr. Freeze, if he's going to be in Injustice 2, just hypothetically, One would have to think he would side with Batman. I mean, he's one of the more neutral kind of villains. He's the more
Yeah.
sympathetic villain, so I would imagine he would side with Batman. So that's kind of interesting that you brought him up because now I'm really curious where he stands in all of this. So hopefully we will
Yeah,
get
I
that
think
answer.
most of them would side with Batman. I don't think there's many that would go with Superman.
Yeah,
Because the Riddler, turns life's horrible problems into a game, and with Superman, there are no more games. The
sure,
games are over. So
sure.
yeah, no, I can't think of anyone. Poison Ivy might be the exception because I think maybe I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
that might be
she's
a whole
tough
other
too.
video, but
Because yeah,
yeah,
her in her own mind, she's sided with Batman several times over the years. So they've worked together. So she's doing her own neutral thing. She's not even as far
oh
as her
yeah,
bio goes. Yeah, she's on the Society of Supervillains or whatever the hell they're doing with Grodd. But yeah, we'll get into that discussion, I'm sure, in due time of another video. But sticking with the comic here, so that was the end of that chapter. Then we had a completely separate storyline going with between Hal Jordan and Sinestro. They're on a planet looking for just a big structure, I guess, or something that's powerful. I don't know what the heck it was called. It was like the your something. I don't know. And they were looking for this on this strange planet filled with all these machines and things that are just destroying everything. And Hal is very reluctant to work with Sinestro, but I thought it was really odd that they're working together at all in general. But
yeah.
yeah, Hal is very not trusting Sinestro at this point. So, anyways, there's not as much to point out in this, other than they do have some interesting back and forth and dialogue exchanges between them, where Sinestro's still trying to kind of explain his side to Hal and how Superman's not that different from him and that he's not that different from Superman. And he's trying to play to their old friendship that they once had. And he's really working over how to kind of get inside his head.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways to interpret this. Like, I don't know if Sinestro is still fond of Hal, but I think Sinestro is still very much disappointed in Hal. I think there's a perpetual layer of disappointment that
Sure.
Sinestro always carries with him. When he sees Hal, he's like, oh,
Yeah.
him. So, but disappointment is in a weird way a form of caring. So,
Right.
I think you can take it two ways. Like, it's like it sucks you weren't, things weren't different, but at the same time, I think he wants to fuck with Hal, and I don't think there's a contradiction. I think both of those could work together.
Sure. So it ends with they do find what they were looking for. They drag it out of this ginormous machine thing, and they take it out of him. Do you know what was going on with the other Green Lanterns there? Were they
I
trying to
have
get
no
to it?
fucking idea what was going on with the Green Lanterns.
This
They
is,
they do a horrible job communicating that. They
yeah,
come out of nowhere.
my best guess is they are also in search of this thing because we do know that by the end of this, Hal is questioning whether it's best in Sinestro's hands, Superman's hands, or the Green Lantern's Guardians' hands. So I'm guessing the Green Lantern Corps are there on their own separate thing, completely unrelated to. I mean, it's related to what Hal and Sinestro. They're all there for the same goal. I'm just saying, yeah, they show up at the end as well, and I think they're trying to get the structure out of it too for the Guardians' sake,
Yeah.
and just Hal and Sinestro beat them to it, and they almost look like they trapped them by that monster. So I don't know if Hal just basically wrote these people's deaths or
I
what
don't. They
went
just
on.
kind of disappear. They're never referenced again in future panels. We're
Yeah,
just assumed that was the end of them. They retreated, or this
something. Yeah,
part was kind of a mess.
yeah,
Everything up to this point was fine, but this part was kind of like, what the hell?
yeah. That part was a little odd. So Hal may have just caused their lives, or at the very least, he took it from them, but or before they
Yeah.
could get it. But yeah, we don't know the fate of those Green Lantern Corps members' lives. But anyways, so Hal and Sinestro take it, and then while Hal's contemplating, what he's doing and if he's doing the right thing and who's best in control of that much power, while he's doing that, Sinestro ends up just destroying it, and Hal smiles and he says, and Sinestro even like says exactly what Hal was thinking. Were you contemplating whether it was best in my hands, Superman's hands, or the Guardian's hands? And he just destroyed it so that way that much power is not in anybody's hands. So he's just like this is him trying to win over Hal. The whole issues kind of him trying to get inside his brain and his trust. So we can only assume this is another play at that. And they end up telling Superman that it was just destroyed, and they kind of keep it a secret that Sinestro is the one that destroyed it.
Yeah, and if I had to guess Sinestro's mindset, it would be, why do I need an Earthforge when I have a Superman? That's
Sure.
what I imagine he's thinking. So
Yeah.
this is all part of the even if you do want to positively interpret Sinestro's perspective on Hal, I still think this is shady as fuck. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. It's definitely seeming like a ploy. I mean, Sinestro's not turning over a new leaf. It doesn't seem like he's just purely trying to win Hal's trust so that way he can further dig into Superman
Yeah.
without Hal being at his heels. So, but that covers the issue. It's definitely an interesting little side story. The Clayface stuff was good, like we said. The Hal Sinestro stories continuing, little very interesting to jump to where they're already working together. So, I mean, there's some tension there, but Hal is seemingly taking to Sinestro okay for as much as they've been through. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
know about you. I'm not sure about you. And then after like a couple hours hanging out on some planet, you're all right, okay? There may be hope for you yet. Like, oh, come on. It's kind of some. It's very suspend disbelief with Hal Jordan in this comic so far. Like, come on, this guy should not be buying everything that Superman's selling and Sinestro is selling, but he unfortunately is at this point. So
Yeah, at least they're carrying the theme of cognitive dissonance with the Green Lantern. As much as they're stretching it, I feel like the story just fucked up. Like, they straight up forgot about the Flash. Like, the Flash is like not even a thing anymore. Does the Flash have any
he's
remorse or guilt? Who cares?
he's
Here's how.
looking at
Yeah.
kangaroos somewhere and looking at pictures of kids that looked up to him that he watched got crippled.
That might do him some good.
But yeah, that covers this issue, guys. So we'll see you tomorrow with the next issue. We'll pick back up with the main storyline. Issue number 8 is what we'll be reviewing. So we'll see you tomorrow, guys. And make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend, and have them tell a friend, then tell a phone. As a game, illustrations. I don't know where I was going
Just
with
gotta
that.
follow those steps. Gotta
Yeah,
keep going.
but you guys have a good one.
Later.